This is the video I wish existed when I started planning my wedding. When people ask me, how's the wedding planning going? I actually say, I enjoyed it. And I know this is not the most common answer. Many brides start by looking at everything. 50 venues, touring 10 to 15, build a giant Excel spreadsheet, and ended up exhausted before making any decision. I personally didn't go that far, but I did enough digging to feel how messy it could get. So don't worry. I have already done a lot of that messy research for you so you don't have to. In this video, I'm sharing what helped me to make the process feel simpler and more manageable. So, today we're going to dive deeper into how wedding venues are structured and priced, the contract terms you must understand, and a simple way to help you narrow down venues without losing your sanity. This is based on my personal experience planning a wedding in New England area. It won't cover every scenario in the world, but if this could save you 10 to 20 hours of research or help you avoid one expensive mistake, then making this video was worth it. If you're at the very start of wedding planning and thinking, where do I even begin? This video is for you. And if you want the short version, I will put the cheat sheet down below. So, here's how this video is structured. Let's get into it. Before you even start touring venues, it's helpful for you to understand their business models. Why? Because the business models determines how much flexibility you will have, how much work you will do, how predictable your budget will be, and honestly, how stressful you will feel for the next year. Here's are the 4 main models I've run into. The weekend buyout. This is when you book an entire property from Friday to Sunday. This is so dreamy if you can afford it. You get Friday dinner, wedding Saturday, and Sunday brunch, all in one place. It feels like a mini vacation with your favorite people. The trade-off? The cost. In New England, this can easily be over $30,000 just for the venue before food and beverage. So, it's beautiful, but absolutely not accessible for everyone. Next, the inclusive package. This is when the venue provides most things: space, food and beverage, linen, staff, and sometimes even a coordinator. This can be one of the lowest stress options because they do almost everything for you, and so there are fewer moving parts. The downside is the flexibility. For example, if you want upgraded linen or napkins, you often have to rent through the venue, so this could add up quickly. But the upside is, because you're spending with them for both the venues and food, you have more room or leverage to ask for added perks or some adjustments. More on that later in the negotiation section. The third option is exclusive caterer venues. These are common with historic manors. The venue partners with one exclusive catering team. You still get a full service, just like an inclusive venue previously. The difference is how it's structured. Think of it this way. Inclusive venues are like booking a restaurant that does everything in-house. The experience is smooth, reliable, and beautiful, but the food tends to be more standardized wedding style. Exclusive caterer venues, on the other hand, are more like renting a stunning historic house and bringing in a top-tier private chef who specializes in that space. The food is usually more chef-driven, more customized, and more restaurant style, which is why the per head cost is usually higher. So again, both models handle everything for you. The difference is just that inclusive venue runs everything in-house, while exclusive caterer venues pairs a beautiful space with a high-end catering team who knows the space inside and out. This model can absolutely be worth it if the experience and the aesthetics are exactly what you want. Last one is the preferred-less or empty shell. This is when you rent the space like field, winery, bonds, or tented property and bring your own vendors. What's really appealing about this model is the total freedom you can get. You get much more customization, and in some cases, you can even save money, especially if you already have a caterer you trust with a more reasonable cost per head. But that freedom also comes with trade-offs. With this model, you're responsible for a lot more logistics, rentals, tables, chairs, setup and breakdown, sometimes even toilet, lighting, power. Those costs and the coordination can add up quickly. If you love planning, spreadsheets, and project management, this can be a great fit. But if you don't enjoy logistics and you're not hiring a planner, this can easily be your second full-time job. So, just know what you're choosing. Why does this matter for your budget? For most venues, price changes based on two things: season and day of the week. In New England, peak season is usually May through September. Shoulder season is April and October, which is usually cheaper depending on venues. And winter is usually the cheapest. Second, day of the week. For buyouts, season still matters a lot, and holiday weekends often priced like peak. For single-day venues, Saturday is typically most expensive. But here's something that not many people talk about. Some venues like ours offer Saturday daytime rates closer to, if not cheaper than, Sunday pricing. We chose Saturday daytime because it's a sweet spot for us. It gave us a Saturday wedding, but paid even less than the Sunday rate. And it was more considerate for our friends with kids, as daytime makes it so much easier for them to arrange babysitters without having to rush home late at night. So, Saturday daytime truly worked for both our budget and our guest experience. And remember, food and beverage is where most of your wedding budget actually goes. That's why understanding venue models matters so much before you fall in love with a place. We didn't look at 100 venues. We shortlisted about 5 or 6 and only toured 4 before we say yes to our wedding venue. Here's how we narrow it down without burning out. I already had pretty clear vision of what kind of wedding vibes I want to go for. European menu feel, waterfront ceremony, an outdoor space for guests to walk around. And because of that, I immediately ruled out other options like barns, wineries, and traditional hotels. Not because they're bad, they just didn't match our vision. If you already have a vibe in mind, this filter helps a lot. But if you don't have a clear vision yet, don't worry, that's completely okay. I got a few more check boxes in my future system that can help you narrow it down and protect your energy. This was our biggest non-negotiable. My fiance's grandma cannot handle long drives. So we set a hard limit. No more than 1 or 1.5 hour drive from Boston. And that automatically removed a lot of beautiful venues, including the Italian-style destination wedding that I secretly dreamed about. But it was a good reminder. Weddings aren't just about the couple. They're also about people you love being there comfortably. Guest count drives your budget. And I know this is especially hard if you're Asian like me. Your list has a way of growing, always. For example, in our case, we initially thought we would be around 150, and now we get closer to 200. Some venues can accommodate that, so they are eliminated quickly. And honestly, having fewer options was a relief. I don't know about you, but for me, low optionality is like a mental shortcut. It reduces decision fatigue for someone like me who tend to overthink everything. This is where we looked at pricings relative to what you're getting. Every couple has a different budget, and that's okay. I was humbled by learning how much many wedding venues generally cost. Some of those dreamy venues I was eyeing online, way beyond what felt reasonable for us. Those got removed even before we schedule a tour, which honestly save us so much time and emotional energy if we try to look into a positive side. And here's what you will discover during the venue tours that you won't find online. How many bathrooms they have, the actual layout of spaces, promotional discounts for certain booking windows, and sometimes even food samples. Once you're there in person, from my experience, it's so much easier to say yes to the right one. I would say partner alignment is important for me and is the last piece in my filter system because I want both of our input and feel like we're choosing this together. We toured our top choice together, and for us, it was easy. When we saw a venue, a beautiful waterfront place in Massachusetts, we both just knew it felt right. No overthinking. That was our place. Before signing anything, there are key terms you need to master. This applies especially to the venues that has in-house food and beverage or exclusive catering models. Number 1, the food and beverage minimum. This is not your venue fee. It's the minimum amount you committed to spend on the venue and food and beverage altogether. Typically, venues set higher minimum spend in peak seasons, especially for Saturday evening weddings. And if your guest count drops, some venues will still hold you to that number. But what you can do is, the venues will work with you to reallocate the remaining balance to something else, like late night snacks, or welcome drinks, or extra appetizers. So you aren't paying for guests who aren't there. So, don't overcommit. Aim for a minimum. That's a bit below what you realistically expect for your guest count. When you see prices in the wedding brochure, always check if this is already inclusive of tax and service fees. If not, add roughly 25 to 30% for more accurate total number. And here's something many couples miss. The service fee is often not the tip for the wait staff. Always ask separately what gratuity is expected for the team on that day. This one is really important, and barely no one talks about it. Our contract includes a clause that allows the venue to increase their food price by up to 10% before 6 months leading up to our wedding to cover market cost. Because we were booking only 8 months out, not typically 12 or 18 months, we pushed back. We told them this clause give us a pause and asked them whether price fluctuations like this were something that they typically see closer to the event. And just like that, they offered to lock us into the menu prices listed in our contract, exempting us from that clause entirely. Guess what? 2 months later, the price went up 10% for other people, but not for us. That single conversation saved us thousands of dollars. Not every venue will say yes, but you won't know until you ask. Now, let me emphasize this. Make sure to have this kind of conversations in writing, either through text or email. Why? Having spent time in finance and recruitment earlier in my career, one thing that I have learned early on is how critical it is to have everything documented. A verbal agreement means nothing when it comes to contract. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen. So this is my advice for you. Read your contract carefully. One sentence can cost or save you a lot of money. So now that you understand the contract terms, let's talk about what you can actually do about them. Yes, negotiation. And I know this makes many people feel uncomfortable. I used to feel the same way until I read Never Split a Difference by Chris Voss. And it completely changed how I approach these conversations. We originally planned for a 2027 weddings, and we started looking at the venues pretty early, around September 2025, and absolutely loved this one place. After the tour, out of my curiosity, I asked our coordinator, what would the pricing look like in 2026? Just in case, right? And she came back with a great offer, about 5,800 in total savings. And that's already better than what we're looking at for 2027. But my fiance wasn't fully convinced about moving our date up. So I decided to go back to our coordinator and say something like this. I love this offer, but my fiance needs a little bit more to feel excited about moving our timeline up a year. Is there anything that we could do together to help me convince him? Here's a few things that would make this feel like a no-brainer for us. And I listed specific items that we would love to have added or get a discount on. The strategy that I used here is what the author from this book called calibrated ask. I was honest with our coordinator that my fiance needed a reason to feel more excited, and it made her my ally, not my opponent. But I'm not going to lie to you, this is not a one email and done. It was a few back and forths, and I didn't get everything that I wanted. But the approach that I learned from this book helped make these conversations feel more collaborative, not combative. And the final result, we end up with 7,500 in total value compared to our original 2027 plan. And honestly, I'm sure some couples could have negotiated even more. I was learning as I went, and I definitely didn't get every single thing that I asked for. But one thing that I'm really glad is that I pushed through that initial discomfort, because we ended up with a celebration that feels more elevated than our original budget would have allowed. And for that, I'm truly grateful. Here's what I found negotiable. For venues with in-house food and beverage or an exclusive catering team, here are the items worth exploring. Of course, you might not get everything that you want, but you can design your offer that works well with theirs too. And here's the most important thing that I've learned. Added value is often easier to negotiate than hard discounts. And this is because upgrades don't usually hurt the venue's bottom line as much, but they genuinely improve your guest experience. Our leverage was specific to our situation. We were filling a 2026 date that they had available, booking both ceremony and reception with them, and doing everything in-house. Your leverage may look different depending on your timing, guest count, and package. Every venue and every situation is unique. What worked for us might not look exactly the same for you, and that's completely okay. Why I'm telling you this? I know negotiation is not easy at all. It plays with our fear of rejection. But here's the reality. I asked myself, what's the worst thing that could happen if I try? They say no, and I paid exactly the same price that they initially quoted. That doesn't sound too bad, right? I won't be worse off than when I start. That's how I convinced myself to try negotiating. And I don't know who needs to hear this. Asking for more is not the same as being selfish. Negotiation, when done well, is about finding a win-win situation. The venue fill their calendar, you get more value. Everyone walks away happy. Even a few thousands in savings here can go straight to the other things that will matter years from now when you look back on your wedding days, like your flower, your photographer, or your videographer. Or even it's like not a saving, if it's like just added value. It's something that have elevated your guest experience on your wedding day. Isn't that cool? I'm not going to script out exactly what I said because I believe that everyone's style is different when it comes to negotiation. And what felt natural for me might not feel natural for you. The real power is in understanding the principles and apply them in your own voice. I've also used what I've learned from this book with other wedding vendors, in my job conversations, and honestly, in everyday life situations too. It's hands down one of the most useful books that I ever read. And if you're interested in this book, I will leave the link below in my description. Not all venues structure the bar service the same way. But here's are the 3 main models that I experienced. Number 1. Full open bar per head. This is when you pay fixed amount per guest and everyone drinks freely. For example, at a venue, I did the math for the full open bar option. And that only makes sense for us if each guest drinks about 6 to 8 drinks, beer, wine, hard liquor combined. For some crowd, that's totally realistic. But for us, with a daytime wedding, and some of our friends and families don't drink much, paying per head just didn't add up. Next, cash bar. This is when your guests pay for their own drinks. We personally didn't consider this option. It can feel a little unwelcoming for our guests. Next, consumption-based open bar. This is when you set a total bar budget. Guests drink freely until that amount is reached. If it hits the limit, the venue will come and check in with you whether you want to extend or switch it to a cash bar. We love this model because it gives us more flexibility for our group. And what I found is that not every venue offers this option. If it sounds right for you, make sure to ask early. So, if you take anything from this video, let it be this. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Read your contract carefully and negotiate respectfully. If this video helped you even a little bit, please give it a like and subscribe for more wedding planning content. And drop a comment below. I would love to know which part of this video you find most useful for you. Also, if you pick up any tips from your own wedding planning that I didn't cover here, drop them in the comments. I would love this to be a place where we all can help each other save a little bit more stress, money, and time. Happy planning, and remember, you deserve to enjoy this process. If you like this video, you might want to check out my other videos here. Thank you for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video. Bye!